Una y dos. Y dos. Una y dos. Una y dos.
Hello and welcome to Cortesnyc Livestream, the podcast. This show broadcasts twice a week out of New York City. We are your hosts, Cortesnyc
and Carla de Puerto Rico.
And on this show, we talk about art, creativity, city life from a Latino perspective. I'm a visual artist.
And I'm a singer.
And this is episode 32, Sweet Expo.
As always, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, and now Spotify.
What?
And on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr.
And we are happy to announce that our merchandise is fully stocked, and we are counting down for the official launch of the online store, CortesNYCBigCartel.com. It'll be launching Sunday, July 1st. So you guys log in on Sunday, July 1st, browse around, shop around, and order some stuff up. Pins are going quickly. That's CortesNYC.BigCartel.com. All right, Sweet Expo. So what we're going to talk about is how to have a Sweet Expo. How to prepare for the perfect Expo experience. We figured since we were preparing for this street art expo, we, along the way, had to make lists and to-do lists to make sure we didn't forget about anything in preparing ahead of time. And then along the way, we're like, you know what, this is actually a good experience and we should share this with other people. We should give them our little checklist of things that we learned along the way in preparing for an expo. I've done, in the past, I've done comic book conventions, so I was already familiar with some of these things.
This was my first experience, so it was pretty cool.
But
a lot of hard work, but pretty cool.
But I think you brought a different perspective, which was helpful, very helpful, because you were bringing a little bit of a PR background, whatever you've learned, in school about PR, and also from working, retail.
True.
And also, just a fresh perspective, like a modern perspective, from a person that just likes to maybe shop and think, how do people shop now? What is the mentality? So it was helpful. I'm obviously, comic book conventions is a different crowd. Also, being an artist, I used to just be an artist alley. I would maybe sell a couple of posters here and there, and that's it. The majority of the things that I did at the comic book conventions was just do little sketches and, sign things, So this, I think for me, this was I guess it's a new experience preparing an entire thing and saying, let me get a whole line together.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think it's a good experience. So let's go through our checklist and let's make sure we don't forget any of these in our preparations. All right. So number one, which might be the most obvious and dumb thing to say, but register early. So if you are curious, if you hear about a convention out there that you like, maybe it's a comic book convention, maybe it's an arts crafts fair convention or something, whatever it is, don't just look at it and say, hey, that's interesting, and walk away and then come back on the last minute and be like, let me register. If you're looking at it and you are even a little bit curious, that's good enough for you to say, be realistic. Can you afford it? Are you going to be available those days? Fine. Register. Go for it. Because that little bit of curiosity is enough, I think, for me to guess that you'd want to do it.
And not only that, but also it helps, I think, the expo in general, because the more people they have registered, artists, let's say, they have registered to go with a table, the more people attending the expo, they're gonna grab the attention of.
Yeah, it's true. If you sign up early, it's good to get in there early, and also it will help to make the crowd be a little bigger of people that are going and attending. So I think that's another positive thing. But also, you want to sign up early to secure your table. The earlier you sign up, the better chances you're gonna get to get a good table, a good location, a better chance for you to know about the information earlier, so that maybe you might know the size of the table or the size of the booth earlier, and you might be able to plan something more organized for your presentation. And I'm saying presentation because that's really what it is. You're not just attending a fun party. Like, you're actually going to present. Even if you're an artist and you might not want to think of it like a presentation, but it is a presentation.
Yeah, and the way you set up your table and your things, that's the way people are gonna stop at your table and look at it and be like, oh, this is interesting. Or they're gonna continue and they're not gonna stop because it's gonna be like, this is kind of like a mess. This is too much.
Right.
So.
And it's hard not to be a mess when you're an artist.
It is hard.
Whenever I've been to a comic book convention, they're all messy. They're all messy. Everybody brings all their best, and it's for a reason, because you get that one opportunity to connect with your fans, and you want to be able to give them all the variety that you can. But it is a good idea to maybe not to do that, right? Yeah. All right, but so that's important. Register early. Another one is, once you've registered, once you've gotten all this stuff, and you know for sure you're going, mark it on your calendar and clear your schedule. That's very important. A lot of people don't do that. I'm not one of those people that like to plan ahead too much, so this is an exercise for me. If I don't have a checklist, I won't be planning ahead. It's very important. If you're not that person, be that person. Mark your calendar, and heading towards that date, as people talk to you about doing things, check your calendar.
Exactly.
Keep checking your calendar. You know, when things pop up, hey, let's go on vacation. Hey, let's do this. Oh, there's a party that weekend. You want to go? Oh, there's a movie, or oh, there's a concert. Look ahead and keep reminding yourself of that date. Take it seriously, because that's your day.
Yeah.
So yeah, clear your schedule.
Yeah, for me, for example, I took my day off for the expo since like a month ago. I set it up. I was like, this day unavailable. If I don't put it on available, they're gonna schedule me to work. So let me just do it. Yep.
And I completely planned ahead all my weekends, including like weekends to maybe paint or weekends to do other activities. And even the World Cup, planning ahead and saying that day Colombia's gonna play, I want to make sure that I'm tempted not to now, and then I'm like, well, but I'm gonna go. So we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna take a laptop. We're gonna make it happen, regardless. All right. So plan ahead. Clear your calendar. Number 3, the theme or the purpose of your presentation. So you got your booth. You know you want to go. And you're an artist, obviously you should go, and you know what your art is, so obviously you're going to show your art, but you can still make a theme. You can still think ahead and say, what is it that I want to feature?
Yeah.
You know, what I want to highlight. For myself, am I highlighting my spray paint work? Am I highlighting my cartooning skills? Am I highlighting, my illustrations? Do I want to show off more of my video stuff, or do I want to show off more of my black book stuff? I think in this case, my theme is this merchandise, right?
Yeah.
This merchandise line that I want to put together. So I'm using the expo as a catalyst to kind of spark up the merchandise, the reinvigoration of my online store. But also within that, the themes that I'm showing, a little bit of the World Cup theme, because I know the World Cup's coming around, and I'm supporting Colombia, so that. And then also my anti-Trump political illustrations and Americana kind of stuff. My little piggy patrol, Ferguson piggy, armed pig character.
And graffiti. Yeah.
So, I think I know clearly what are my themes and what I want to show and present and talk about the most. And that's what I'm moving towards this convention with in my mind. But for you guys out there, just know what is the theme of your presentation. Are you trying to sell something specifically? Or is it that you just want to showcase something new, maybe a new line of paintings that you did, and a new style or something that you want to show off? That could be something in itself. All right, so moving on to another one. Plan your merchandise or your artwork early. So in my case, I'm making merchandise. So I went ahead early on and started researching who can make my merchandise, who can help me to produce this stuff. I got my pins done through Corrupt Graffiti Pins on Instagram. Shout out to him. Shout out to Graffiti Pins. He really came through, really walked me through the process and explained it to me, and made sure that when we talked about dates that the product could be shipped on time and everything. Really helped out a lot. It was useful to have somebody that really knew about making pins,
right?
To really guide it and make sure that it landed when it needed to land.
Yeah.
The stickers, I use Stickerfied. Shout out to Stickerfied.
The quality is awesome.
The quality of the stickers is awesome. And my posters, PS Print. It's a company that I've been using for years, and I know their schedule. I know they're reliable. I know that if I ordered it at a certain time, I'm going to receive it at a certain time. So plan ahead your merchandise and know that it's going to arrive on time. Don't overdo it, but don't underdo it, where at the last minute you're going to be like, man, I should order more. And then it doesn't get here on time. So be solid in your decisions. Decide that, well, if you're an artist and you're painting something original for that date, give yourself time for that as well. And that probably you need more time than ordering merchandise, because you're going to be under the pressure of preparing for a convention while still sitting down and making art. And that can be stressful. And you don't want to show up to the convention, and I've been in that position, showing up to a convention or an art expo with half-done pieces, tired, undersleeping, exhausted, bags under the eyes, you can't even think straight, you're angry. I've been at conventions angry. I have. I've been to conventions in the past where I've spent maybe 2 weeks crunching all my hours, staying up all night just to get this done. And then you're there and you're angry because you're like, look at my stuff, buy it. Enjoy it, take it, and you're angry and you're like, I hate everybody. Even if they buy it, you're still upset because you're just like, just take it off my hands already. I don't want to see this anymore. And you don't want to be in that position. You want to make your art early enough that you can put it away and still have a little time to refresh, so that when you see it again, it looks new. You want to go to the convention with that same enthusiasm as they have for your art. And you're not going to have that enthusiasm if you've been looking at it for 2 weeks. Yeah. If you're looking at it for 2 weeks, you're going to be like, I'm tired of seeing this thing. Can you get it off my hands?
That's true.
So be realistic about that. Schedule ahead and give yourself enough time to either order your merchandise or make your art. All right. Another one is plan promotion. And I think this is where Carla, you definitely helped out this time. I never had this kind of help. Plan your promotion and schedule at least for 1 month in advance to promote. So obviously here on the podcast, you guys have been hearing us speaking about the Street Art Expo. Yeah. We started doing it about a month in advance. Yeah. But also, on Instagram, we started mentioning it. We started talking to people we know, started telling them ahead of time, hey, we're going to be at the Street Art Expo and all that. We didn't go as extensive as we could have probably. But, for you people out there, just remember 1 month in advance, do whatever you can through whatever social media or word of mouth you can do. Start promoting the fact that you're going to be at the place.
And there's different things you can use. Like, for example, we used MailChimp.
Oh, yeah, MailChimp.
Which is like, it's an app where you can create your newsletter and announcements and stuff like that. So if you have a previous email list or sign-up list, you can use that list to send it to people that you know that they're going to be opening your emails and that they're going to be interested about your art. So you can prepare your newsletter. You can leave it there as a draft, maybe, I don't know, have an idea of how you want to set up, then come back to it, finish it up, and send it to them. We had kind of like a reaction with that, but we're still experimenting with the MailChimp.
Yeah.
And then I guess the other thing is to really use Instagram, which I think is where we get the most response.
Yeah.
And it's the more visual one. So if you're a visual artist, or even if you're a musician, you're gonna get a lot of responses through Instagram. So use the stories, use the post,
but also you could use Twitter. Use
Twitter
Facebook,
is good, yeah.
YouTube. If you want to go unconventional, plan ahead and go to another convention. True. And hand out flyers.
True.
Or stickers or whatever at that convention, promoting the fact that you're going to be at the next convention. That I've done in the past. And I didn't do it this time because I think between preparing for this Street Art Expo and preparing for the launch, I didn't want to oversaturate it. Yeah. I think one thing at a time is good enough for me. But if it was only the Street Art Expo, I probably would have said, let's plan ahead and maybe show up to some of the other street art events and hand out stickers, hand out flyers. Hey, I'm going to be at the Street Art Expo. Make sure you show up, blah, blah, blah. That is another way of getting attention. And word of mouth and just hand-to-hand flyers can help.
Yeah.
And then also part of promoting can just be letting people know, let's say on social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, hey, I'm preparing for a convention. I'm doing this. Hey, I'm doing, and just give them some behind-the-scenes snapshots. That helps as well.
That helps. Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways of doing it, but definitely give yourself at least a month, maybe more than a month in advance to kind of like get people knowing. Don't go too far in advance because people will forget.
Yeah.
You know, and people don't want to hear you talking about something for a month.
Exactly. Like start 1 month ahead, just one post. Then a week before the convention, maybe you can start posting a little bit more behind the scenes and everything else.
That helps. And another thing is, do it without expecting a reaction. True. Do it because you should do it, because you're supposed to do it, because you invested money on this convention table or booth or whatever you got.
Yeah.
And do it because of that. Do it for the right reason, which is for yourself. Don't worry about the reactions. Don't worry if people don't respond. Don't worry if everybody still says, what? Oh, you're going to what? Like, don't even worry about it, because it's your job to do this. This is your responsibility, you being responsible.
Yeah, and you're just sparking curiosity.
And you're preparing yourself too.
Yeah.
You're preparing yourself. You're prepping yourself for your own convention. All right, so let's move on to the next one. The next one is, and this is an important one that we kind of thought of last minute, but now we've figured it out, is consider transportation of all your materials.
Yeah.
That's a big one, and I didn't really think about it, and now we started discussing how we're going to do it, but consider how are you going to transport your art, your original art, your canvases, how are you going to transport your merchandise, and how are you going to transport yourself to the convention and back. If you have a car, great, but if you don't have a car, or even if you do have a car but aren't really considering it for all these things that you're going to be carrying, take it very seriously. You don't want to damage your merchandise.
Yeah.
Carrying, if you have t-shirts, if you have posters, if you have stickers or whatever it is that you're selling, hats, baseball hats, original art, like we said, canvases, large canvases that are delicate. Consider how are you going to pack all these things up so that you can load it and unload it from your vehicle without damaging it, because you do not want to damage it, because you're going to probably have to do this again at another convention, and you're going to if you damage your merchandise, nobody's going to want to buy it.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to buy a bent up poster. Nobody wants to buy a scratched up, painting.
Yeah, you have to be very delicate with it, but also think about the easiest way to carry it.
Yeah.
So it has to be practical. You have to be practical.
Has to be practical. And also think about presentation. You don't want to show up with your canvases that you're selling for $300 and you're just carrying them dragging them across the floor, putting them on an easel.
Right.
Pretending like nobody saw you drag your canvases into the convention.
Right.
Think about presentation. Presentation starts from the minute you leave your house. Your art is being presented to the world. So think about how you're transporting it. That's part of your presentation as well. I would recommend, if you are going to be doing a lot of conventions or a lot of street art expos or a lot of fairs, art fairs, get permanent transportation cases. Get like plastic bins for your merchandise. Label it and store it always in that merchandise, so that it's preserved and protected.
Yeah.
If you're going to be doing it constantly, you might as well do it. Put a little logo on the box, on the bin. You know what I mean? Spray paint a stencil or get a sticker and slap it on there, so that when you show up, people see your merchandise coming out of your bins that are labeled and branded. That's a nice impression. It shows quality. So transportation is important. Another one. We got your merchandise, we got all your stuff, all your artwork and all that, but now you're at the convention. Think about not just what you're going to sell, but what are you going to give away? You always have to have something to give away.
True.
You need to have, you don't want anybody to walk away from your table without leaving with something.
True.
That's one of these rules to convention attendance.
Convention 101.
Yeah, it's one of these big rules is everybody either paid or got in, went out of their way to get there, right?
Yeah.
Everybody got there, they got to your booth, whichever way they did. You don't want to waste their time. They don't want to feel like they wasted their time. I don't want to go to your, if I'm attending, I don't want to go to your booth just to say hi, look, and walk. Maybe I want to buy your stuff. Maybe I don't want to buy your stuff. Even if I don't like your stuff, I still wouldn't mind having something from your booth.
Of course.
To let me know that I was at your booth. And then on your side of it, as the person, you know, that is showing your work, you want to make sure that I walk away with something so that I remember you. You want me to remember you. You want me to remember your booth, to remember your name. You know, maybe at that moment I don't have money, or maybe at the moment I'm thinking about buying something else and I'm not going to buy your stuff right now. But that doesn't mean that the next time I see you, I might not buy.
Exactly.
Or that if I go home, I don't look you up online and buy your stuff later.
Exactly. Even if I take the paper, I put it in my bag and I'm like, okay, yeah. I get home, I'm organizing my stuff, and I look at the paper, I'm like, oh, I don't remember about this guy. Let me look him up. Yeah.
When I've gone to comic book conventions, I would come home with a whole bag load of papers and flyers and stickers and postcards and things from people, and that's almost half of the experience is what you bring home and look at.
Yeah.
A lot of it I might not keep.
Yeah.
But it's part of the experience. So you want to make sure that you don't waste that as an artist attending and paying for a table or a booth. Don't waste that opportunity to connect with your audience. You want to make sure that your name travels beyond the convention into the person's home. Yeah. And the only way to do that is by having a giveaway. A giveaway can be a flyer, a poster, a postcard, a business card. It can be a candy with your name on the wrapper. It could be a pen with your name on it. It could be a sticker with an email on it that says, hey, check me out later.
Right.
It could be something as simple as having somebody sign on a subscription list or a mailing list and have a conversation. At least you made that connection.
Yeah.
Just got to make sure that something is exchanged. As long as something is exchanged, something more than just a hi and goodbye, then you fulfilled that. So giveaways. Think about giveaways, flyers, things like that. Another one is, and this is an important one that we started trying to resolve, is how to accept payments.
Yeah.
Right? So you go to a convention, obviously you're going to sell stuff. People are going to bring cash, but not everybody's going to have the amount of cash that you want them to have. And you're not going to want to walk around with a big old register full of cash, you know, ones and 20s and fives and this. It's a lot to worry about.
And now we are in the era of technology, so you definitely have to think about credit card payments, debit card payments, and even Google Pay payments, right? Which is with the phone, with the cell phone.
Exactly. So how you're gonna accept payments? That's a big deal. I've never done it before, but this time around we signed up and we purchased
a Square point of sale.
Square point of sale. So it's a way of accepting credit card charges.
Yeah.
We tested it out. It works beautifully.
It's pretty simple. You just download the app and buy the device and you're set.
Yep. And it works off your phone. It works off your iPhone. It works off
iPad.
Yep.
Whatever you need.
Yeah. So that's really, I'm looking forward to using it. That's pretty useful. I think also the fact that it can help you with invoices or inventory and other options.
Yeah, like you can save, let's say you have different items, you can save items with the name of the item on it. So then when you're searching for the item, it's pretty easy to find. You have it already there with the price, and then you have to press on it because we tried it to see how it looked. You have to press on it and that's it. And then it charged to the credit card when you do checkout. Yep. That's it. And
I think nowadays people are more comfortable buying with credit card, possibly even than cash.
Yeah.
You know, so I think people are more comfortable showing up and saying, wow, that looks really good. That looks really good. You accept credit card? Good. I don't have to worry about how much things cost.
Exactly.
You know, I think a majority of people will be more inclined to say, if I have the freedom not to worry about, oh, am I going to have my change? Am I going to use all my dollars here? Then I won't have dollars for the next booth.
Right.
If they feel that freedom, they're a little more open to say, well, let me see what you got on the table, and they get more curious to shop around. It doesn't mean they're going to buy your whole store.
Exactly.
But the point is that they get the experience of shopping around.
Make it easier for them.
Yeah, they can browse. Their imagination can, cut loose, and they can really listen to your sales pitch and really see what you're really selling. And that's what you want to do. You want to offer them that experience, and so I think that helps. And then another thing for cash is like, you know, I mean, do you really want to be carrying around cash and all that? Do you really want to be making change in the middle of conversation? You know, like, do I want to be like, well, do you have two fives? I have a 4, but I have one single. Do you have change for, you know, you don't want to get into all that. It's like weird. You know what I mean? It's uncomfortable. It stops the flow of the conversation. It stops the flow of the exchange of information. And you don't want people worrying about money. You want people looking at your art. Yeah. So I think that's another reason why this credit card thing, I hope, really works out. I think it's going to help to ease that. Yeah. All right. And then lastly, finally, the last one on our list is...
What is it?
The follow-up.
Follow-up.
Plan ahead for what happens after the convention. And that's something that that goes into preparing before the convention. So what am I going to follow up with? What am I going to do after the convention? So I went and I showed all my stuff, and then what? Exactly. You should always have something planned, because at the convention, you're going to meet new people that never met you before, never even knew about you. What are you going to offer them, those newcomers that haven't heard you pitching for a whole month? Have that prepared, have it planned ahead so that you can hit them with something right after the convention and give them a reason and make them feel like, wow, I got to meet that guy, and look at that.
Separa menos tiempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Culture talk.
Culture talk. The talk de la cultures.
We're gonna have to make a theme song for real for that eventually. So Carla, what are we doing this culture talk? This is called Sweet Expo. So I'm imagining something sweet
and delicious. So we're gonna be going through a list of Latino desserts.
Oh, I'm here for that. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are here for that too.
Oh yes, so delicious. Such a signature dish of the Latino culture.
Well, first of all, let's talk about desserts. So we're gonna talk about Latino desserts. Are we like into desserts? I have a sweet tooth. I grew up always like thinking that after dinner I have to have something sweet, and that's bad, but yeah.
Yeah, me too. I really like my favorite kind of sweet is chocolate. So I really like chocolate, and now I think I'm getting more used to eating desserts, like
I'm sorry.
Ice creams and other ones that we're gonna go through the list. I'm gonna tell you which one now I like that before I really didn't even thought about it or liked.
Right. I like cakes, especially here in this area, the Asian cakes
oh
that are
God.
Those really soft.
But they look so delicious too. It's like they make them so pretty that I'm like, oh, I need to have that.
Yeah, no, and they're like so light, like they're fluffy, and the sweetness is very light.
So you're like, I'm eating this, but I'm not really like.
Yeah, it's not really dessert. I just ate a whole cake, but
exactly.
it's practically air, so it doesn't matter.
But it's healthy, you know.
Right.
It's not that sweet.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it's just as bad as any other cake.
Exactly.
But I like the cakes. Ice cream is cool. Not for every time, but ice cream's cool. And I think another kind of dessert kind of thing that kind of sparked up, I guess, is like I think a little bit of chocolate, like the dark chocolate. Mm-hmm. Like at the end of the night, a little piece of dark chocolate with like maybe a little liquor or something like that hits the spot. Yeah. Now that's like my new thing. It's like that little flavor just gets me. I'm like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, I like cakes, chocolate. Strawberries with chocolate. I haven't had them in a while. But
mango time.
Mango time.
Mango time is one of my favorite things. It's a nice, get a nice sweet mango, slice it after dinner, little bit of whiskey.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice good combination.
It's a good combination.
Yeah.
All right, so come on, Carla, give me that list.
Okay. So let's start with flan.
Oh, I love flan.
I know, it's your favorite.
Flan is my go-to.
So it's a classic Latino dessert, and its flavors varies by region. For example, in Puerto Rico, they make like a cheese flan, or flan de queso. Is flan?
That sounds gross.
that is with cheese.
I'm sure it's delicious, but it sounds gross.
So the way they describe it is like it's almost like a cheesecake custard. And then in Colombia they have the flan de coco or coconut flan. So there's different type of flan.
I can't have coconut.
I know. So then for you it would be the flan de vainilla.
Yes.
Yeah, flan de vainilla. So the flan, I think is you make it like it's like a type of cake, but is the consistency is not hard as a cake. And then you make it in the oven, and it's really delicious. I'm not a fan of flan. I'm not, but it is a Latino dessert.
I know. I remember I started eating flan when I was very young, and I don't know. I got hooked on it, and then I don't think I ever found out is what is the brown syrup that they put on it.
Caramel.
That's caramel.
Yeah, because something that I remember about flan making is that my mother will always try to make it, and it was always a struggle for her to make the caramel, because to make the caramel I think you have to take the sugar and you have to melt the sugar like that, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to make sure to keep moving the sugar so the sugar doesn't get stuck to the pan, because if it gets stuck to the pan then you cannot put it on top of the flan. So my mother, oh my god, every single time she used to make it, it would get burned. And she was like, ay, no puedo hacer el caramelo, no puedo hacer el caramelo. And yeah, it's caramel.
And then flan in English is custard.
It is custard?
It is custard. That's all it is. It's
okay.
Caramel custard. I never really associated it with the. I always just say flan.
Yeah, me.
And then when I remember the first time I saw it in a supermarket.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that kind of took the magic out of it. Like once you see it in a powder box, like available like under the Jello section, and you're like, there's Jello and there's flan. You're like custard. You're like, okay, that's kind of. All right. So what's the next one?
Well, the next one is arroz con leche.
Arroz con leche.
And arroz con leche is a rice pudding that is classic in Latin America. It's made with rice, milk, cinnamon, sugar, raisins, and condensed milk.
I never got into arroz con. I remember my brother used to like it.
Me neither.
People around me always liked it. I never liked it.
My grandmother used to love it, but I'm like, no. I don't know. I think it was because I always thought of rice for dinner, and rice being savory, never rice being sweet.
Yeah.
Or being like kind of like a dessert. And then arroz con leche, I don't like milk. So it's like, huh?
And then on top of that, you throw some raisins in it. Like,
Exactly.
Why are you doing this to me?
Exactly. But they said that this dessert is known throughout the world because there's even Asians variations.
Oh, really?
This dessert.
I wouldn't doubt it because they love
with
rice so
rice.
much. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
big into rice.
Yeah.
The rice culture.
So
All right.
the next one is dulce de tres leches.
That's a good one that I never liked
Me neither.
until when did we get into it?
I don't know. I think it was when we went to either a Colombian restaurant or a Cuban restaurant, and we ordered it, and I don't know what happened.
We both got into it like, what? This is
Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah.
It was a tres leches cake. And basically it's called tres leches because it has 3 layers of milk, or they use like 4 types of milks or 3 types of milk. So it has 3 layers, which is the cake, the filling, and the topping. And there are 4 types of milk in the filling and topping, which is the whole milk, condensed milk, evaporated milk, and heavy cream.
That's a lot of milk.
But
For somebody who doesn't like milk.
Exactly. So I just saw this and I was like, what? All that milk? But when you are eating the tres leches,
Yeah.
it doesn't taste like all that milk. It tastes sweet, but it doesn't taste like that, right?
Right. Yeah, that's true. No, for me, I never liked tres leches because it always just looked like a soggy cake.
Yeah.
And it just seemed gross. It's the equivalent of dunking your donut into a bunch of milk,
It's true.
or just pouring milk on top of a cookie. It just looked disgusting to me. I was like, that's not
True.
anything I want. But if you get past that, it's freaking delicious.
Yeah.
And
then they put the strawberry on it, and I'm like, what?
I guess it's the consistency. If you can find a tres leche that is done where it's not soaked to the bone,
that is fresh. Because I think that if they leave it there for a long time, then it's gonna get like all like
soggy. You lose the texture.
Mushy.
Yeah, you lose the texture.
Yeah.
The quality goes away.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. All right, tres leches. Another one that's on top of the list.
Yeah. So the next one is alfajores.
I have no idea what the hell that is. That sounds crazy. What the hell is alfajores?
Alfajores are originally from Spain and are very popular in South America.
Wow. Alpha? Does it have alpha in it?
I don't know. Let me read. The Argentinian version has a feeling of dulce de leche. And also in Ecuador, they put they put also what is known as manjar. And it's almost like a dulce de leche, but the consistency is a little bit different. And also in Colombia, they eat it with the arequipe, which arequipe is dulce de leche.
Yeah.
Yeah. So alfajores is very popular in Spain and in South America. I've never had it, but I have to try it. I'm gonna have to go to one of these bakeries and I ask for an alfajores.
I'm into that. Is the next one on the list arequipe since you're talking about it?
No, but we're gonna go over that.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one is churros.
Churros.
Churros, qué rico.
Churros is unfortunately getting a really bad rep by being sold in the subway stations.
I know, but I don't care.
I think it's sad that that it's being promoted that way in subways. It takes the magic away from it.
Yeah. Well, what are churros? Churros are made with fried dough that is sprinkled with sugar, and churros are found in Spain and Latin American restaurants and street vendors.
Exactly, and in the New York City subway system.
But I always remember churros because in Puerto Rico they will send it actually in the street in Old San Juan, en el Paseo de la Princesa. It's like a outdoors plaza in Old San Juan. And they will send it with fillings inside. So they will send it with salad, with chocolate filling or strawberry filling or vanilla filling.
Okay.
So that was good.
Churros is basically a pastry. It's a dough. It's like a donut, like a stretched out fried donut.
Exactly.
With sugar, with a lot of sugar all over it.
Yeah.
It's good. It is good.
So good.
Yeah.
I haven't had it in a long time, but it is good.
But when you get it in a restaurant, it's a little different. Obviously, it's a different quality.
Oh, yeah.
And it's delicious, yeah.
Yeah.
That with a little bit of coffee, you're set.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is another type of rice, which is arroz con dulce. And arroz con dulce is a very tasty rice dessert cooked with milk and different other spices. The scented rice releases a very pleasant aroma along with the combined flavors of sweetened condensed milk, different spices, and nuts. I've never had arroz con dulce either, and that's something that is very famous in Puerto Rico, but I don't like it. I don't know. I have a thing. I'm Puerto Rican, and I don't like Puerto Rican desserts.
I'm Colombian, and I like some Colombian desserts, but not all of them.
Yeah, I think it's because when I was little, I was like a very picky eater, and I really was like into. If the consistency is like this, I don't like it. I don't like that name. I don't like. So yeah,
cansona.
I know. So the next one, continuing with Puerto Rican desserts, is el tembleque. Tembleque that I don't like either. So tembleque is a Puerto Rican dessert pudding with coconut milk. So it's a very simple dessert with a jelly-like texture, and that's why I don't like it. I like jelly, but I didn't like tembleque. I think I tasted tembleque actually like 5 years ago before coming to New York or something like that. I went to a party in the mountains of Puerto Rico, and they had the dessert. I was like, well, I think it's time for me to try it, and it wasn't that bad, but I don't know. Yeah.
And the name tembleque, I didn't understand what that meant when you first told me tembleque, and I was like, what the hell is that? I really thought it was some weird, crazy thing. But tembleque is just because porque tiembla, it shakes. So
Yeah.
tembleque is like shaking,
Exactly.
basically.
Yeah.
That's the name, shaking. The shaking dessert.
Yeah. So that's tembleque. They use coconut milk, salt, and other types of ingredients to make the tembleque, and it's very easy to make.
All right, what's next?
So the next one is the arequipe.
Yeah.
So arequipe is basically dulce de leche.
Which is basically sugar with milk.
Yeah. And in Colombia, they serve it with obleas
Obleas, yeah.
or saltine crackers, or
Yeah.
sometimes as a base for other desserts.
Yeah, so arequipe is something when I was in Colombia, I mean, growing up my whole life, but definitely when I was in Colombia, I saw it being sold in the street. And it's like the churros that we see in the subway, but over there in the street, you'll have people in the street with these little carts, and they have the arequipe, and then they have big, tall bags full of obleas, which is what they give out in church.
Really?
The bread. You know that bread that they give out in church?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that, but big versions of it.
Seriously?
Giant, they look like a little frisbee, like a dish.
Yeah.
And then they put the arequipe in between, and they make a sandwich out of it, and they sell it to you like that. And then, I mean, when you're a kid, it's nice because it's like fluffy. So it's basically like a waffle cookie.
Exactly, like a waffle, because that thing
It's the
is
same material.
like that, yeah.
It's like the waffle cookie, but it's flat. It's big and flat, and then it has the arequipe, which is just a caramelish kind of thing in the middle. And the fun thing is, when you're a kid, you're taking this big giant thing and you're just chewing at it a little bit at a time, going around the circle until it goes to the bottom, and that's
Yeah.
a Colombian dessert, I guess.
That's funny though. I didn't know about that.
I
Wow.
thought that was always fun, and arequipe is pretty good too. But but it's not the same if it doesn't have the oblea and all that.
Right. It's not the same feeling.
Nah, man.
Okay, so the next and last one for this list, this is our 10th, is the cholados colombianos. Have you tried that?
No.
So it says this dessert is a cross between a frozen dessert, fruit cocktail, and a drink, and derives from El Valle region of Colombia. It is made with crushed ice, fresh fruit, condensed milk, passion fruit, maracuyá, and Colombian blackberry or mora syrup.
Go ahead.
And it's topped with cheddar, coconut, and a cherry. And it said it makes for a wonderful summer dessert.
Okay, so it sounds like a refreshing fruit cocktail kind of
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I just never heard it with an actual name. But fruit cocktail, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, along those lines, so let's do some honorable mentions of things that might not be desserts, but might just be sweets, treats.
Yeah, sure.
Colombian, I know, brevas con queso.
Mm-hmm.
That's always good. Which are basically, I think, figs
Yeah,
with
yeah.
cheese, with Colombian cheese. That's good. It's not to eat a lot of it, but I'll eat it every once in a while. I'll eat it like once a year or something. I'll try it just to remind myself what it tastes like.
Yeah.
Bocadillos.
Mm-hmm.
Bocadillos is great,
Yeah.
which is basically guava paste with the sugar.
We have it in Puerto Rico too.
Bocadillos is delicious.
Yeah.
Another one that I would say.
Los pastelillitos de guayaba.
What?
Los pastelillitos de guayaba they're like little empanadas with guava inside, basically.
Ugh.
No. For real, it's good
I know,
because it's not like
I have to try it. I can't imagine it, but I have to
because it's not savory. Like you have the little saltiness of the dough, but it's really good because then you have the sweetness of the guava inside. It's really good.
All right. So another one that I'll mention is frunas. I don't know if you've ever heard of frunas.
No.
Frunas is a type of candy. It's almost like a Starburst. But when I was growing up, that was a very Colombian thing. It's like a Colombian Starburst candy.
Okay.
But that was like a snack and like a little treat when I was a little kid. But another one that we can say that you'll find here in the park is the mangoes en la calle.
Oh yeah, con tajín.
Mango con tajín.
Con limón y tajín.
Yeah, that's a treat. That's a very Spanish, Latin,
Yeah.
Mexican.
Another one, hot chocolate, hot cocoa.
Oh, hot cocoa, yeah.
That's like a
Yeah,
classic.
that's a classic, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go try some.
You wanted me to teach you, right? Street reality.
Carla, hablando español.
Let's go. How do you say convention?
Convention is Convención.
Yes.
How do you say expo?
Exposición.
Okay.
How do you say preparation?
Preparación.
Yes.
Good job, Carla. Good job.
How do you say merchandise?
Oh, merchandise is a good one because that changes up a little bit. So merchandise in español is mercancía.
True, true. How do you say original art?
Arte original.
Yes.
Carla, how do you say sale or sell?
Venta.
Very good.
How do you say items?
That's a good one. I never thought of that. Items. Items.
That's why I brought it up.
Like, what items do you have for sale?
Got him. Yes!
I don't have a word for items. How do you say it?
Artículos.
Articulos. Articles? Is items?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yep.
So how would you say that in a sentence? How would you say, look at all my items. These are my items that I have for sale.
Estos son los artículos que tengo para la venta.
Artículos.
O estos son los artículos que están a la venta.
Wow. Okay. I learned something right now. Got me,
Nice.
Carla. Got me.
Okay. How do you say desserts?
Postres.
Yes.
How do you say cake?
Well, in Puerto Rico we say bizcocho, but in the rest of Latin America they say pastel. So,
And in Colombia, we say ponqué.
oh, that's right, you said ponqué.
There's a lot of ways of saying cake.
Yeah. Bizcocho, pastel, ponqué.
Ponqué sí.
Oh my god. Qué charro.
Ponqué,
en serio.
ponqué sí. Come on, that's an old joke, man. Come on. Ponqué, ponqué sí.
Okay. So next one, and the last one I have here
Yeah.
is how do you say sweet?
Sweet. Oh, that's a good one. Because that one sounds totally different. Sweet is dulce.
Dulce de leche.
Exactly.
No, dulce, dulce.
Dulce. Yep. All right. I got a couple for you.
Okay, go ahead.
How do you say, did you say presentation yet?
Yeah. No, I didn't.
How do you say presentation?
Presentación.
Very good. How do you say merchant or vendor?
Vendedor.
Vendedor? Vendor. Yeah, that makes sense. Wow, I didn't think of that. Vendor is vendedor.
But merchant is something else.
Merchant is the person, el que vende la mercancía es el merchant.
So es el vendedor.
Oh, well, when you're selling at a convention, you make,
I have another word
for what?
for merchant.
Okay. What else do you have for merchant?
Comerciante.
Comerciante is a good
It's
one.
different than vendedor.
Yeah.
Because I feel like vendedor, he just sells, but el comerciante, he actually negotiates.
Yes. Yeah. Comerciante, I like that. Comerciante
I
is more
knew
like a
that-
vendor
Yeah.
or a merchant. Okay. Very good, Carla. Very good. You're learning Spanish.
I am
So-
learning Spanish.
See, this is good for you and good for me.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'll be preparing posters for this convention.
Yeah.
How do you say poster?
Well, I heard that you say afiches.
Yeah. I say afiches and we all say afiches. Why, is there another way of saying poster?
Poster.
Ay, Carla, por favor. Carla, learn Spanish finally, please. Come on. Poster is afiche.
Pero no era... In Google, they translated to from poster to poster. And then cartel, afiche,
Cartel.
cartelero.
Cartel, cartelero.
I
I've heard
was
cartel before.
confusing the word afiche with the word bosquejo.
Bosque? What the hell's a bosquejo?
Which bosquejo is a brochure. It's kind of like a brochure.
Oh, no. This is not a brochure. This is a poster, Carla.
So, okay, so poster is poster.
No.
Oh, afiche.
Afiche or cartel. I've heard cartel before.
Cartel.
Yeah, el cartel. How do you say pastry? You're gonna laugh when you hear it. Pastel.
Pastelería.
That's why when you say pasteles, I'm like, what? Because it sounds to me like a pastry.
Yeah, no. That's funny. Because in Puerto Rico we have this dish that is called pasteles, but it has nothing to do with sweet.
Exactly.
It's like a real dish for eating.
Yeah. And I've heard you guys say pastel and use that word a lot, and I'm like...
Yeah, y nosotros, los pasteles. And I can imagine everybody else being like, wow, so many cakes. We're like, no, what are you talking about? Yeah, los pasteles in Puerto Rico is almost like a tamal.
Exactly.
Like tamales.
Exactly, yeah.
But we call it pasteles. I don't even know why. But that's funny because then pastry is pastelería or los pasteles.
Yeah, and then I always grew up knowing that pasteles is like
Sweet.
you go to a bakery and you get pasteles. All right. You live and you learn, Carla, and that's why we're here together, Latinos Unidos, hablando español.
Puñito arriba.
All right, another episode in the bag.
Yes.
All right, so for next episode, episode 32, we are going to take this show on the road, and we are going to record live at the Street Art Expo.
Yeah.
Sharing some of our experiences there and hopefully talking to some people.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so stay tuned.